All right, y'all. So it's going down June 10th, scheduled for the main event. UFC 289, Amanda Nunes versus Julianna Pena 3. That's right. It's been announced for the main event for UFC 289. I know how a lot of people feel about this. A lot of people don't want this immediate rubber match. And you can put me in that category, but part of me is like, fine, let's go ahead and get this thing out of the way. Because with the way they were holding up the division, Amanda Nunes, she's just kind of been chilling right now, which, yeah, okay. She's a long-time champion. She can kind of sit back. But in the meantime, you have fighters that are coming up, that want to challenge themselves. You want to see them go ahead and get back in there immediately, right? So for Amanda Nunes, she's got some fighters lined up. Irene Aldana was looking like the best choice, but that fight didn't happen. Of course, Amanda Nunes said she thought that fight was going to happen, which I'll talk about in another video, but it did. And you got Julianna Pena, who's been, making it known that she said, I'm not fighting anybody unless it's for the gold. She was talking about, look, anybody else? No. She said, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this fight. I'm not doing any other fight unless it's for the gold. She wanted that rubber match. So, fine. I'm like, all right, let's go ahead and get this thing out of the way. Now, that's how I feel as far as being impatient. But in my honest opinion, my thoughts on this rubber match being the next immediate fight, I'm not really that hyped up about it. Like, I know that it'll probably be a good fight between these two because of the way they match up and because of the rivalry they have and that energy. But in my opinion, with the way the second fight went, I don't think this really called for an immediate rubber match. Not in my opinion. Like, it wasn't as competitive, underneath all that blood and bruising and damage done between the two. It was still a pretty one-sided fight. Now, the first fight, okay, it was a shocker. One of the biggest in WMMA. Amanda Nunes gets submitted by Julianna Pena in 2 rounds, right? So with Amanda Nunes being a longtime champion, a double champion at that, of course, she deserves an immediate rematch, right? We wanted to see that. Julianna Pena finishes her in 2 rounds. Amanda Nunes, known as a legend. Give her a rematch. Fine. Amanda Nunes, what does she do in the rematch? She completely switches up her game plan, comes in on 100, and she takes Pena to school for the most part. Again, underneath all that bruising and blood, I know Amanda Nunes had to walk out on crutches and her face was kind of swollen from the headbutt. But underneath all that damage done, Amanda Nunes still pretty much technically tamed Julianna Pena. The only thing that kept Julianna Pena in the second fight, in all honesty, was her natural abilities, which I give her full credit for. She has a lot of good things that you can't teach. Her toughness, her heart, and her relentless pressure. That relentlessness that she possesses. I love it. You know what I mean? But there comes a point where you have to kind of step back and say, we need to grow here. We need to improve here. Like, we just can't fight completely off of heart, right? Now, granted that heart and dog kept Amanda Nunes on her toes, but Amanda Nunes was also on 100 upstairs. Her skill level was on point. She made some changes and she said, okay, as long as I stay awake throughout this whole fight and stay on my toes, I'm going to just keep on picking this girl apart. And she did that, right? So after watching that rematch again, what was it, 50-45, 50-44? I mean, the fight had like 5 knockdowns. Julianna Pena's head was knotted up, split open, probably concussed, and didn't win a single round in that fight. Never really had Nunes in trouble, done some damage, but never really had her in trouble. It made you say, okay, Nunes is back. This is what Nunes looks like whenever she's at 100%, when she's really focused. And when she did that, it made me say, okay, we can revisit this thing later on. That would have been the smarter idea to me, because then you could have Amanda Nunes go off and do whatever she wants, because she went on and got redemption in her second fight. And Julianna Pena could go back to the drawing board and say, okay, after watching this fight again and again and the damage that I suffered, I need to change some things up. I need to learn how to fight southpaws. I need to learn how to change up my jab and, throw on different levels and learn how to throw more sharper hooks, hook off the jab, and learn how to cut the octagon off and not chase as much, and learn how to throw overhand right, as far as, to try to incorporate it with my wrestling style. Understand what I mean? Like, Julianna Pena had a lot to kind of go off of in this fight, to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's test this in another fight besides the championship fight, and that's where I was at with it. Like, let's see Nunes go off and do something else. Fight Irene Aldana. And Pena, she can revisit this fight some other time, go off and fight Holly Holm, right? Holly Holm just beat Yana Sky. That should have been the fight she called for. So she can kind of work on, kind of incorporating, like I said, her right hand in with her wrestling and switching up her approach to how she throws her jab, not be so heavy-handed all the time, kind of work on her rhythm, So I think that would have been the smarter idea for the two. Sometimes, when you see these third fights happen, they're not really necessary. The only time they're necessary is if like the second fight's a draw, or the second fight, again, it's like a toe-to-toe battle where they fight tooth and nail, you know what I mean? Where nobody ever gets the upper hand in the fight. It still kind of ends where the fans are not satisfied. See, the first fight was a big shocker. And everybody believed Amanda Nunes, she wasn't 100%. But when she came back and did what she did, they said, okay, if Amanda Nunes did that to Pena in the second fight, she'll probably beat her easy in the third fight. And I think a lot of people felt that way, right? It didn't leave us saying, oh, wow, Nunes is about to get submitted again. Like, Nunes was, like, struggling for her life in the second fight. Nah, like, underneath those bruises and everything, she was still good. She was winning every single round. That's how I saw it. So, to me, a third fight really, it needed some time. It needed some time to marinate. Like, first fight, second fight, fine. They need to happen sometimes like that. That's how rivalry starts. But if the second fight ends in a very one-sided match like it did, then it's kind of like, okay, let's go ahead and, let's put this thing off. Let's revisit it down the road and see what they learn. Like, let's see what they can do after they learn from, maybe another fight or two. No need to rush the third fight to me. I think Julianna Pena, she's one of the toughest fighters out there. And, she did well to win the belt, but she didn't even defend it, right? So for her to say that the only fight I'm going to take is the fight for gold, she makes it sound like, she's got this extensive resume like Amanda Nunes. No, not really. Like, you look at boxing, fighters like Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, they didn't necessarily go back to back to back to back, but with the way their fights did go and the way they would clash and the way their rivalries were, where, Marquez would give Pacquiao some trouble and Pacquiao would give him trouble, they could have went immediately after, one after the other. That would have been fine. But for these two, I think Amanda Nunes bounced right back and said, hey, I'm the champion. I'm good to go. And this is me. And if you want to put up a good challenge again, hey, you go learn a thing or two, right? But that's my thoughts. Like, that's how I would have seen it go. But hey, man, forget it. It's going down now. To me, I think Irene Aldana would have been a better choice at this point, and Pena versus Holm would have been another good fight. But that's just my thoughts now. Like I said, it'll probably be a good fight. It'll probably be entertaining, because Amanda Nunes' power plus Julianna Pena's grit will make for some excitement. So, yeah, what are y'all's thoughts? Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.